Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. We have got some fantastic undergraduate STEM students here to answer a couple of questions about studying at the University of Glasgow. Just before we begin, we'd like to introduce ourselves. So, my name is Elise, and I work in the College of Science and Engineering, and I am delighted to be facilitating today's session. But I would like to introduce our fantastic students that we've got on the panel today. So, first of all, could I please get Drishant to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Elise. Hello, my name is Drishant, and I'm studying physics with astrophysics. I'm in my second year of study, and I'm from Nepal.
Fabulous. And Bonnie?
Hi everyone, my name is Bonnie and I'm currently doing computing science with mathematics and I'm currently in year 2 and I'm from China.
Perfect. And Cassidy? Oh, Cassidy, you're on mute. Sorry.
I'm Cassidy. I'm an environmental geoscience student. I'm in my first year and I'm from the United States.
Awesome. And Amelia?
Hello, my name is Amelia. I'm in my fourth year of Biomedical Engineering and I'm from India.
Fabulous. Well, thank you all four of you for being here today. We're so excited to ask you these questions and to give people who are watching today an insight into what it's like to study at the University of Glasgow, but what it's like to study a STEM subject at the University of Glasgow. So we've got a couple of questions here, and we would love to get your answers. So I think my first question I'm going to direct to Drishant, and the question is, what made you choose your STEM subject? So you're studying physics with astrophysics. What made you choose that? And had you always been kind of drawn to STEM subjects throughout school, or did you find out that you were interested in it a bit later on?
Right. So, I think as a kid, I always did want to study something STEMmy. I was always like wanting to study about black holes or something related to stars or physics. So that's why I naturally gravitated towards physics with astrophysics, even in the like later years of my high school. I was like, I know I want to do physics. So that's why I kind of gravitated towards a STEM subject. But then, yeah. And then in terms of choosing a STEM subject, in Glasgow, it was because I really wanted to go to a country where I could really romanticize things. And like I saw that University of Glasgow was that type of university. It looks like Hogwarts as well. And also the fact that it's a Russell Group uni, which means that the research is top notch. I naturally gravitated towards Scotland and Glasgow as well.
What a lovely answer. Thank you so much. I wonder if I could direct the kind of similar question to Cassidy, maybe. Like, what made you choose your STEM subject? And had you always been kind of drawn to geoscience, or did you find the kind of interest in that subject a bit later on?
Yeah, so I have always been super passionate about the environment. I was really involved with the environmental activists in high school, and I really wanted to bring that towards what I was studying in university. I think as far as environmental geoscience goes, I was really happy to be able to incorporate the environmental part in it, but I didn't really expect as much of the geology, but it's been one of my favorite parts of what I've been learning about this year. So I'm very glad that I chose Glasgow, especially, and I definitely agree with the romanticizing university bit.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, cool. I mean, those were fantastic answers to the questions. So I think I'll move on to my next question, which is mainly why did you decide to study at the University of Glasgow? And I'd like to point that towards Amelia, maybe. And had you kind of ever been to Glasgow or Scotland before you chose to study here?
So I always knew I wanted to study abroad just because I wanted to get that unique experience of like moving to a new country and like starting afresh in university. So I did apply to a lot of unis abroad, especially in the UK, but I chose Glasgow University in the end. Also because I think it was a bit more, I thought it would be a bit more practical based than what I was used to before, and it is. And to answer your second question, I had not been in Scotland before, but I did go to the UK, like London. So I kind of thought it would be, I kind of assumed it would be kind of similar weather wise and like culture wise. But I can say after coming here, I think Glasgow is a much better place than the rest of, I mean, than London, because I think the people are what make Glasgow. Lovely.
Thanks, Amelia. I mean, we always hear people say that people make Glasgow, but it's totally true. I mean, like coming over and experiencing the friendliness of the city and things. Yeah, totally. Cassidy, could I ask you, like, did you always know that you wanted an international study experience, or was that kind of something that you just thought as you were applying to universities, like, oh, I'll pop one in Scotland and we'll see how it goes?
No, I definitely always knew that I wanted to study abroad, and I thought that I would just do it for 1 year, but then as I was kind of getting closer to applying for colleges, I was just like, why don't I do this for the whole 4 years? And I'm so glad that I came to that conclusion. I'd been to Scotland once before. I looked at a couple different universities in Scotland, but I ended up choosing Glasgow because I think that there's a lot more community in Glasgow. I think the city's like just such a friendly city, and I think that's definitely reflected in the university. Teachers, lecturers, lab leaders, just students. I think everybody's so friendly, and it's so easy to make connections really easily here, especially if you're involved and you kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Love that. Thank you. I've got a question for Bonnie, which I would really like to ask, which is, what has been your favourite thing so far about your subject or studying your subject? Obviously, you are doing computing science with mathematics, so you are doing kind of two big subjects within the university. So have you got any favourite things like course content or lecturers, anything at all that you could tell us about?
Yeah, of course. So one point I want to mention might be like a double-edged sword, where that currently in my second year I have 6 modules per semester. It's a lot of work, and on one hand, I really appreciate how different it is from each other, and I get to take breaks from other subjects and focus on the other modules, and it's never been boring. On the other hand, it's a lot to handle at the same time. Right after you're done with one module, right after you're done with one module, you have to study for the next one, so it's very rigorous, but that's what I like about it. So far, my favorite module has been group theory. I think it's both really well taught and such an interesting topic, since it's not the usual mathematics you'll see. It's quite abstract and quite a new subject I've been introduced to. So that's been my favorite module so far.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I wanted to ask Cassidy again, I hope you don't mind, but we wanted to ask, like, obviously you've come here and you're studying here, but also like there's a lot of like day trips that you can do from Glasgow or fun things that you can do at the weekends. Could you maybe talk a little bit about some of the trips that you've taken since you've been in Glasgow?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a little bit more convenient for me because I know someone that has a car, which does make things a lot simpler, especially if you just want to go for like a hike. But it's been really nice, especially when there's like days that the sun is actually coming out, and my friends and I have started going on hikes. We went to Campsie Fells not that long ago, which is an incredible view, and I totally recommend it. It's a great hike. There's so many amazing hikes. Connick Hill is right, I think it's like an hour and a half away, and that's a great hike, and it's also something that is super involved in my course. There's a huge fault. There's like the Highland Boundary Fault that you can see from Connick Hill at the top, and it's really beautiful. And then there's also like you can take the bus anywhere. My friend and I went to Stirling not that long ago, and we went and saw the museum and the castle and walked around. There's just it just kind of opens up a whole new world when you realize that you don't just have to stay in your accommodation and study. Like you can go, there's so many places you can go, and it's really not that far away, and it's not as hard as it seems. Once you start doing like 1 or 2 of those trips, it just opens up a whole new world, and it's incredible. It's so much fun.
Love that. Thank you so much. I've got a question for Drishant, which is there anything that helped you feel like more at home when you came to Glasgow as an international student? And have you kind of like found your people, or is there any kind of ways that the university has helped you find those people, like societies or anything like that?
Yes, definitely. I remember coming in first year and being really, really scared that I wouldn't really find my people or like click with anyone because it was a new environment and everything. But definitely, joining societies through the uni has helped a lot. Like I know that we have like sports societies, but there's also like general societies. So I challenged myself this year that I'm gonna really learn how to do something I don't know, and that was dance. So I joined the Glasgow Students Dance Company, and then I met a lot of new people there, and then made friends there. But also societies related to my subject as well, like astronomy society or physics society. Those places have really like helped me find my niche people, that like people I want to hang out with or really nerd out on stuff I like with. So those places have really like made me feel like at home, like find my people, I think.
Love that. What a lovely answer. Thank you so much. Um, I'd like to ask Amelia the next question, which is how would you describe the student community in your subject or even just across the university? Like how would you kind of describe the students that you've come across, and do you tend to work together with different people on your course or in different type of group projects, things like that?
I think engineering is a very social degree in the sense that we have a lot of group projects because I think the school really encourages us to learn how to work together, which I agree is an important skill for an engineer to have, just to work with people of different skill sets. And so we tend to have like a lot of interdisciplinary projects. So I'm a biomedical engineer, but I'd also work with electrical engineers, mechanical engineers for these like semester-wide projects, which I think is really nice. And like even besides just group projects, I think having friends or like having people you can talk to about different assignments and stuff is very helpful. I know I would not have gotten this far without like just like asking people what to do or like kind of cross-checking and double-checking if I've like completed, like if I've like, you know, ticked off all the things that I had to do in an assignment and stuff. So I think like group study or like yeah, working with people on projects is a very engineering kind of thing to do. Like yeah, and also I guess with other STEM subjects, but for engineering, I know like a lot of people kind of work together.
Yeah, totally. Love that. I mean, everyone I've ever spoken to as an engineering student is working on a group project at some point. So yeah, you're totally right. I would like to ask Bonnie the next question, which is what's something that's maybe genuinely surprised you about studying at the University of Glasgow? And was it maybe something about the teaching or the people, the atmosphere, something like that?
Something that genuinely surprised me when I got here is the bipolar weather. Um, the when you step out, it could be sunny, and as soon as you get in, it could be raining. Just last week, it was hailing all of a sudden. That is honestly the only thing that surprised me so far. But I love the teaching. I love how much autonomy it gives you. And also, for my own course, I love the tutoring aspect where we get to go into smaller groups and then work on questions. It doesn't seem, um, it allows me to work on it with my own volition. Since sometimes studying, well, being handed an assignment and told to go home and do it yourself seems kind of daunting to me. So being able to be given that specific time to learn a topic more thoroughly definitely helped. And I also love the campus. It's very different from where I grew up, and it's again very Hogwarts like. And I feel like I'm in like in a magical fantasy world whenever I go on campus.
I love that. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Drishant, could I ask you the same question? Like, what is something that maybe genuinely surprised you about studying here? I know that you study physics with astrophysics, so was there maybe some elements of your course that you were kind of surprised by at all?
Yeah, definitely. Like specifically talking about my course, I was quite surprised that we learned like subjects that I really didn't expect to learn in second year. So one of my favorite course this year has been relativity and gravitation, and that seems like really daunting before coming to uni. But when we learned that in second year and then we worked through all of that, that was like really surprising. But the fact that we understood it and worked through it was quite surprising. And I feel like one more thing that I really like, and I agree with Bonnie as well, is that we have supervisions in our course where we work with our lecturers or professors. And it's like a really nice one-to-one time, sometimes like in a group that you have to work out with questions that you always couldn't ask in lectures. So that's a few of the things that surprised me, but also like socially, how friendly people are. Like you wouldn't expect to chat with anyone in like the subway, but you do, and then it's always such a nice chat. So yeah.
Lovely answer. Thank you very, very much. Cassidy, I'd like to ask you the next question. I know you kind of touched on it slightly earlier, but do you have something that you enjoy most about living in Glasgow as a city? I know that you're in your first year, so you're kind of experiencing a lot of things for the first time. But how does like exploring these new places fit around your studies currently as a kind of first year student? And do you have any favorite spots that you could recommend maybe some of the people who are listening to the panel just now?
Yeah, of course. I just love living in a city in general. I mean, I love Glasgow, but I am from New Hampshire, which is basically the woods. So you have to drive like 30 minutes to get almost anywhere. And I really love how close by everything is. It's so convenient, and you can walk everywhere, which you can't do at all in the States, which is really exciting. And it's really just like anything you need, like you can find somewhere in the city, and it's not that far away, and you can take a bus or a train to get there. So how easy it is to take public transportation to get places is amazing. And then I do have some favorite spots. I love Bread Beats Bread. It really reminds me of American food, and they have the best cheeseburgers, which I do appreciate because they have incredible cheeseburgers in America as well. So I would definitely recommend Bread Meets Bread. And every place has student discounts as well. Specifically, Bread Meets Bread does half off for students on Mondays, and almost every other place does it as well. You just have to show them your student ID, which is amazing. And while I do think it is definitely difficult to balance your studies versus having a social life and things like that, especially for first year when I didn't really have a hard time focusing in high school because there wasn't really much going on. And now there's something going on every night. And so I think as long as you can really hold yourself to deadlines and making sure that while you don't have to write an essay every single day, as long as you do a bit of your work, make a good chunk out of it, then you can go out with your friends and have a good time. You don't have to just spend all your days in the library. You can explore and have a good year, because that's a great advantage to living in Glasgow, is that there's always something going on.
Love that. Thank you very much. And I wanted to ask the same question to Amelia, who, I mean, you are now in your fourth year, right, of biomedical engineering. So you've done 4 years. Like, how has that kind of social life aspect changed for you from your first year to now your fourth year?
So I will say that in first year, I didn't really go out of my comfort zone like that. And it's only from like second year that I started like joining societies and like, you know, actually getting a bit more active in terms of like extracurriculars and stuff. And I will say that is what part of what made uni so enjoyable for me, that I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and started like going to societies. For example, I think one of the first societies I joined was the badminton society, and I think like I don't really play badminton that often before, like I didn't before coming to uni, but I just thought I'd join. And it's nice because they have like recreational sessions where you can have like, even if you're not that good, or like you have people of different skills to play with. So I think that was really nice, and that is where I actually found most of my friends. And yeah, I found a lot of like Indian, a lot of my Indian friends there who I went with to Indian society events. So like it's all kind of interconnected, and like one thing leads to another. And I will agree with Cassidy in saying that like I also used to live in a very small town, and coming here, it's been like a change in the sense that we have something social going on almost every week, and that's like a really nice change compared to before. But yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Amelia. That was really, really nice. I've got one final question, but I would quite like to get an answer from each of you for this one. So the question is, what advice, if you've got any, would you give to a prospective international student? So someone that was thinking of coming here to study, what advice would you give them? So I'll start with Drishant, and we'll go round. So what advice would you give to a prospective international STEM student?
I think one advice I'd definitely give from my own experience is go out in first year. Like, don't stress out too much about having to like study all the time. Like, you have to study at university, but also it's your first year. You have to enjoy life a little bit, which I didn't do as much in first year, and I'm doing it now. So I do quite regret not doing that in first year. So definitely go out, make friends, be uncomfortable, and like by being uncomfortable, you'll find those places where you really thrive, I think. And also, don't forget to get like a waterproof jacket. I think that's definitely important.
Great advice. Thank you. I'll go to Bonnie next. What sort of advice would you give to any prospective STEM students?
Just like Shant has mentioned, go out in first year. I didn't go out much in first year as well, and I regretted that. And I've been making up for it slowly in second year by going out to more societies, going out to more. I also declined a lot of people when they asked me to go out with them, and I regret that deeply. So I've been trying to say yes most of the time. And also buy waterproof things. I learned that having waterproof jackets, waterproof backpacks definitely help. And another thing I thought that helped me quite a lot was to join societies from your own culture or the culture that you're interested in. Don't be afraid to join societies that aren't like where you're from. It's no one's gonna say no, you can't join us. I think they'll be more than happy to introduce you to a new culture, and I think that way it also helps you to connect with people outside of your own culture, and that's also a brilliant way to meet new people.
Love that. Thank you. Cassidy, do you have any advice for prospective international STEM students?
Absolutely. I think that, definitely the going out first year. I did do a lot of that this year, and it was how I met almost all my friends. I met like one of my closest friends just the first night out because I was like, I have to go out. I can't just sit in my room. And I'm so glad that I did. But I think I would say my biggest piece of advice, which was very beneficial for me, was to choose an accommodation that is like a big group of like a community. I think Murano is a great community. And it definitely makes me feel more at home because there's like so many students just around you, and almost all my friends are in Murano and they're so close to you, and it's so nice to make friends within that community, I think. If it's something that you're interested in, obviously. But I think that the accommodation community has definitely helped me out a lot.
Nice, thank you. And can I ask Cassidy, while we're on that slightly, could you talk a little bit more about like just how you chose your accommodation, and just like maybe just a tiny bit, if there's anybody listening to us just now who is in that process right now of starting to maybe apply for accommodation or doesn't really know how it works, like how did you find that process? And
yeah, absolutely.
But is there anything you want to say?
I was actually told not to choose Murano. That was my first impression of it because it kind of has a bad reputation, but I don't really know why people say that about Murano. It's great. Like I said, I made almost all my friends here, and it's so convenient that they're so close by. I think there's almost 2,000 students in Murano, and a lot of like my friend that actually lives an hour and a half away from me in America, which I had never met her before, lives like right next door to me in Murano. And it's just people from like everywhere, and it's really, really nice. You'll just find people studying in central services. or just like doing the laundry, and it's like you'll see your friends just randomly around or like walking. If you're just like standing outside, you'll find your friends walking around, and it's really nice to just be able to see people you know everywhere.
Love that. I'm glad that you've had a really good experience. I'd like to hear that. And I guess lastly, we'll go to Amelia. Do you have any advice to any prospective international STEM students?
Just like everyone else, I think I would repeat in saying that get out of your comfort zone. It's natural to feel scared, obviously, moving to a different country and starting afresh. But I think once you do that, you'll like it's easy to get by in like a new city, and it's easy to do other things if you make friends. And I think like even in the winter months, it can get like really isolating. And I know a lot of people who have had problems with that. But like joining societies or like actually like pushing yourself to do things where you don't have to like sit alone in your room, it really helps in sort of like combating that feeling. Specifically for STEM students, I would say like tutorials. They're really good. Like I know this was mentioned before, but going for your like your scheduled tutorials and actually like doing them like as you go along the semester, it really helps to like make sure you understand the subject. And it's so much easier when you're sitting for exams because format is almost the same. But yes, go out, get involved with societies and stuff, and I think you'll have a great time here.
Awesome. Thank you, Amelia. And thank you to all of you there for your advice to any prospective international STEM students. Like, you guys have made this huge decision to come to Glasgow, and the people who are watching just now are in the midst of making those decisions. So hopefully some of your advice and what you've spoken about here has given them a little bit of a sense of belonging and maybe answered some questions that they've had. Okay, so those are the end of the questions that we've got today. Massive thank you to the four of you for coming along today and for joining the student panel. If you would like to see some more of these guys, they are currently student engagement interns with the university's College of Science and Engineering. So if you are on Instagram or TikTok, you can find these guys at U of G STEM. And they'll be posting some content about their everyday lives at uni and maybe a bit more about kind of what they get up to. So definitely follow along on there if you would like to hear more from them. But for now, we'll say goodbye, and a massive thank you for joining today's student panel. And we hope to welcome you to Glasgow very soon. Thank you. Bye.